Thank you very much, Andre. Obrigado. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And let me extend my sincere congratulations to my fellow recipients. Now, I believe that the reason you're recognizing Ontario teachers tonight is largely for our efforts to help all stakeholders and others understand the pension precipice that looms before us and how we can successfully navigate around it. So first, let me say on behalf of everyone at Teachers, including those joining me here this evening, thank you to the Foreign Policy Association for recognizing these efforts. This award is an important validation of those advocacy efforts. Now, we've been delivering the message for many years that we must, as a society, stop putting off the decisions that are necessary to make retirement financing possible, not just for current generations, but for future generations. And never before has this been more important for public and private policy and decision makers to be brave enough to stand up and say that they'll take the necessary action now. Now, I don't have the time this evening to talk everyone through the details of how the world's pensions costs are outpacing their assets, led by low interest rates, increasing longevity, and retirements that are longer than working careers. But I do have some statistics and history that I'll share with you to help underscore that evolution and seriousness of the issue. That said, I'll also limit myself this evening to talking about defined benefit workplace pensions and leave comments about individual retirement savings patterns or lack thereof for another time. But if you think back, pension plans, both public and private, were devised when retirement longevity was an oxymoron. Pensions were meant to bridge the gap between work cessation and your death, a short distance given life expectancies at the time. You know, according to a leading Canadian demographer, David Foote, Canada chose a retirement age of 70 in the 1920s. That's when life expectancy was 61. So on average, you were dead for 9 years before you received your first pension check. That was then, and today's life expectancy rates are very, very different. In our case at Teachers, we have 2,600 pensioners in our membership who are over the age of 90, and that includes 102 who are over 100. Our oldest collecting member recently celebrated her 109th birthday. And while we jokingly call ourselves a Century Club, in all seriousness, it highlights the issues of benefit sustainability and intergenerational equity that's making sure that pension funds are there for today's young people and those who haven't even been born yet when they retire. Now, my favorite story is an American one, actually. The Economist told the story last year of the late Gertrude Janeway. Now, Mrs. Janeway died in 2003. Until then, she'd been receiving a $70 a month Veterans Administration pension. Not much, you'll say. Well, maybe not. You have to take into consideration the fact that her late husband was a soldier in the American Civil War, which ended in 1865. She married him in 1927 when he was 81 and she was 18. So, as the Economist reported, that particular pension entitlement actually spanned 3 decades, or centuries. An extreme example for sure, but it makes an important point for which actuaries and investment managers alike are acutely aware. We must consider the plan's long-term liabilities, not just its assets. Governments today are in the same predicament as individuals. They're spending more than they're saving, which of course just means that there'll be less available to spend when we need it. The problem is we let them. Those of us who vote against restraint are their enablers. Pay me now or pay me a heck of a lot more later is a sad refrain that too many refuse to hear. On a similar note, wholesale shifts from defined benefit to defined contribution plans are not the solution either. That only shifts the risk from the employers to the individuals, leaving them vulnerable to market moods and a liability to society as a whole. A Toronto reporter recently wrote, "Key among the ways we can boost our economy is by keeping Canada's future retirees from slipping into poverty. The steady shift from defined benefit pensions to more volatile defined contribution plans is leaving Canadians highly vulnerable to the vagaries of financial markets, and the same can be said in any country." In the case of pension funding policy, continuing to shift the growing retirement financing burden to future generations while politically expedient is just bad economics. The elixir we need to concoct together must be potent but palatable. It has to allow politically unpopular but economically necessary decisions to be made. Like many, my friend Larry Schloss over here faces this dilemma in the New York City's Comptroller's office as he tries to help them construct a new pension governance model. The solutions are available, but as a society we need to recalibrate our expectations to meet the reality of the times. With projections of low for long economic growth and demographic trends changed forever, from a personal retirement perspective, people need to spend less and save more. But as I said, that's another discussion entirely. From a pension fund perspective, I can say that retirement ages must go up, benefits must go down, contribution rates must be affordable, and fund managers must maximize their returns while managing their risks and minimizing their costs. As we tell our members, if our investment team, which is ranked #1 for the past 10 years in both absolute and value-added returns in the world, can't earn enough to close the asset-liability gap, then nobody can. There's no choice but to right-size benefits and reduce costs. So let me say in conclusion that I'm glad to be part of an organization that is trying to help put that recalibration into motion, not just for our own members, but to offer some leadership to others who are in a similar dilemma. With that said, we're glad for all the help we can get in this regard. Perhaps that's the bright side to the financial crisis and the ensuing market chaos. It forced attention onto pension funding. People are talking, and better still, they're now worried enough to start doing something about it. Thank you again for recognizing teachers' efforts towards sustainable pension funding and listening to my views on this far-reaching and often polarizing debate. Thank you very much.